If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Joining us now is Ben Robbins, District 33 House of Representatives in our particular district, joins us. And Ben, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, Jimmy Dale.
Back to Montgomery this week, I guess, isn't
Sure, back tomorrow.
Now, talk a little bit about what's going on in Montgomery now with the legislature.
Well, we've got several issues that are going on. Last week, we just passed a bill to allow for a lifetime pistol permit, which I think will be good and help protect our Second Amendment rights. We still got to pass the education budget in the House. It's passed the Senate, so a lot of the debate coming up is going to be on education funding and what we need to do in terms of supporting our public education.
Talk about what this lifetime permit means for pistol owners.
It means that now, instead of having to apply for a permit, you could go in and you could apply and pay a fee for a lifetime permit. And the Sheriff's Department will still do random checks to make sure that, just like they would when you were applying for a permit, to make sure that you haven't been convicted of a crime that would mean you could not have a pistol anymore, a concealed pistol permit. But you just pay a fee and you can have it for the rest of your life. And now there'll be a staggered fee for the older, when you come over 60, you won't pay as much anymore. So it'll be a reduced rate as you get older.
I thought, I'm not real educated, but I thought the lottery was deceased. And apparently there's something still going on. What's this about?
The lottery is not deceased. There was a gaming compact, is the way everyone referred to it, which would have allowed the lottery and casinos and sports gambling in the state. Well, that died in the Senate. Well, forming in the Senate is just a strict lottery bill. So a bill that would only allow the lottery. We wouldn't expand gaming and we wouldn't have sports betting. We wouldn't have casinos. It would be just a strict lottery bill. And so that's moving along in the Senate and it's passed the committee, and we'll see if this one passes the Senate and makes its way to us.
Governor Ivey has been very, very open about she wants the voters in Alabama to decide this.
Right, she's come out very publicly in the last few days on that she wants this to be a decision for the people of Alabama to make. And so, if the governor puts her weight behind something, she seems to get what she wants, but I think that we just need to vet it and make sure that it's the correct bill. And, we'll see if it even gets out of the Senate.
So, where are we at on this medical marijuana bill?
Well, that's been a controversial bill. We had that in my committee, and we just had a vote last week in my committee, and I made several changes and amendment. I amended that bill and made several changes to it. I feel like, and this is my first time where I pushed back on lobbyists and pushed back on the Montgomery special interest, where I fought to get. If the bill passed, I wanted more of the profits to go to support our rural health care. I saw this as an opportunity for Coosa County and some of our rural parts of the state, where Coosa County doesn't have a health department, and places like Weogufka don't have adequate ambulance services. So I thought that instead of putting 30% of the profits towards marijuana research, why don't we put 15% to rural health care initiatives and support our rural health care in the state, because we have a dramatic need for rural health care. We're talking several millions of dollars here, and $1 million could go a long way in some of our rural parts of the state. A few $1,000s could go a long way. And so I was told by several people that the dominoes were already set in place. You can't change things now. And I just simply said, well, you need to put a domino in place so we can have a conversation for the rural people of the state. And I'm here to talk about the rural people of the state and the needs that we have for health care. And so I'm hoping I've at least started a conversation that can push us forward in making sure that Coosa County can get a health department again, and Weogufka can get ambulance service, and it not be an act of Congress to try to get those things, that we can have direct funding into our rural communities, whether they be Talladega, Coosa, Clay, or other parts of the state, whether it's Dallas County or Houston County. Our state is in need of rural health care funding, and I saw this as a vehicle to do it, and I'm working to make sure we can get that.
Ben Robbins, District 33 State Representative. portions of Clay, Coosa, and Talladega counties. You talked about the rural need for health care, and several of the areas that you were elected by the constituents is from these rural areas, the Weguffkas, the Stewartvilles, other communities like that.
Right. I mean, I think that we have rural needs in this state that aren't being met, and that's one of the reasons. That's one of the main reasons I wanted to run, and one of the reasons I'm excited to be in Montgomery is I feel like I'm able to give a voice for some of the rural issues that we have. And before we went on the air, you mentioned the broadband, which is SB 215. It's to create a broadband authority, and I'm very supportive of this bill. It's going to, when we have all this, we have a lot of federal money that's coming into the state, and we need to make decisions on how to spend it. And one of the initiatives, or one of the things we're told to spend it on, is broadband. So this would give us a vehicle on making those decisions on projects that are worthy of funding from the federal government. And I want to have that authority in place, and then I want to have projects from Talladega, Coosa, and Clay County on their agenda for the projects that need to be funded. Right now, my understanding is we don't have a big scale project that is something that they're interested in, but I'm working to try to create a big scale project that could fit what they actually want to fund. So we have needs, and we just have to make sure that we're putting our needs there at the table for them to understand, whether that's broadband or whether it's healthcare, because we are vital to this state, and our communities are important, and unless we make those known, we're going to be forgotten.
What does it say? The squeaky wheel gets your grease or something like that?
That's true. I'm trying to be the squeaky wheel for us in Montgomery. I think that it's been an interesting and a fun process, kind of seeing that, how the special interests work, and they try to tell you what you can't do or you shouldn't do, and you say, and I'm saying back to them, no, I understand where you're coming from, but this is what we need to do for our part of the state, and I'm hoping that we'll soon start to see some results.
It's amazing, Ben. People don't realize the number of students, kids that we have that don't have access to broadband.
It is absolutely amazing the number of children we have that don't have access to internet. Talladega County is bad. Coosa County doesn't have good access, and Clay County is one of the worst in the state. There's geographic problems where you've got, the mountains and the national forest that make it hard to go from one house to the other, but still we need to do a better job, and it needs to be front and center how far behind we are and how important it is, because I always say that without the internet, without modern day infrastructure, we're going to fall behind, and I include healthcare in that. I include broadband, roads, bridges. All those are important for us to survive.
Governor Ivey Friday did what she said she was going to do. She ended the masking, but yet she said she would still mask, and she was going to encourage others to mask as well. It looks like we're getting a little bit of daylight with this pandemic situation.
I think we are. I'm not a medical expert by any means, but I can, from everything that I'm reading and being informed of, it does seem like we're kind of turning a corner. We see some daylight, and I think that what Governor Ivey is doing is a good move at this point. It's putting it back on the citizens to say whether they want to wear a mask or whether they don't, because our numbers are dropping dramatically. You'll hear all these other stories about the possibility of surges, but I think the more we get vaccinated, and just the less likely that's going to be. So I'm excited about the future, and I'm hoping by summertime we can just get back to more of our normal lives.
I've been to the State House numerous times down through the years, and I've heard it down through the years said many times, our State House is in dire straits as far as the building itself and the situation. What are we going to do about that?
I don't know what we'll do about that. I know that there was some talk in the last COVID relief, or one of the COVID relief bills before I was elected, about using some of the money for the State House. I mean, I think that what I just mentioned, we have dire needs in our communities that are a little more important than what politicians in Montgomery need. So I think that we need to make sure that we're taking care of our communities and creating jobs before I think that is what's most important at this time.
Are you able to get back in your community, in our district, to lend an ear to the needs of the constituents?
I try. I'm available, but like I think we talked about before, there's not as many of those open opportunities to go to places to kind of just walk in and talk with people and say, hey, what's going on here? What do you think? I'm hoping, like I said, by this summer, things will be just completely back to normal and you can go to events and meet with people. Anybody that ever wants to meet with me, I'm always available, or call me. So I try to always have an open ear to the constituents.
I saw not long ago someone posted on Facebook, said, Ben Robbins called me. And I'm thinking, Ben Robbins is out there. I don't know how you missed him, but he's out there for sure.
Well, I'm glad they posted that I called them. I try to stay in touch. If someone calls me, I try to call them back. Or if they send me a message, I want to find out what it is they needed or what it was they wanted. Because, being the representative for the state government for this district, it's important that their voices are heard. And that's what I talked about earlier about fighting for healthcare, fighting for broadband. It's that your voices need to be heard in Montgomery, and the only way I know your voices and what is needed is for you to communicate with me.
Let's talk this morning about jobs in District 33 and the importance of bringing new industry and that kind of thing into our district.
I mean, it's vitally important. I have a firm belief you're either growing or you're dying. It's one of the two. You don't stay the same. And so we've got to grow, and the only way to grow is through new jobs. I'm excited about some of the work that we're doing on creating new opportunities for jobs. We're going to need more funding and support for some of the projects that we're working on. I've proposed 2 bills that I think can help statewide in creating jobs and new opportunities and create some new markets. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about some of the local things that we're doing, but we need to see some results, and I feel confident that we're going to see some results. We have the largest industrial park in the state, the Childersburg Industrial Park, which provides us a great deal of opportunity, but there are some issues with some of the contaminants there and other problems that need to be resolved that I'm excited that we're working on. I'm excited about some of the work that we're doing with the old Avondale Mills site on cleaning it up, which I think will provide jobs in just the cleaning of it. That will be temporary jobs, but what we're going to do in the end is going to be permanent jobs that have a major impact on Talladega County and Coosa and Clay for that matter. So there's a lot of things and parts moving right now.
The regular legislative session is scheduled to end when, and what do we need to do between now and then? What accomplishments are you looking for to take place between now and the end of this regular session? Well,
we're going to end in May. We have 9 legislative days left. So we're coming towards the end. I think the main thing that we're going to do, the accomplishment, is passing the education budget. We've got to fund our education. I'm excited about some of the opportunities that we're going to see. We've already passed a pay raise for teachers, and I'm excited about that because one of our major problems in this state is retaining teachers, is encouraging people to go into education, and then not just encouraging them to go into education, but retaining them. And that's going to be vitally important to our future, is we've got to have a well-educated citizenry, and that starts from kindergarten all the way up. And so I'm excited that we're going to be investing in education and making sure that we have that citizenry that can then go into jobs and grow an economy.
Every district has different needs, and education is going to be right at the top in every district. Where do we find the monies for some of these?
Well, for this time, one of the ways we're able to find additional monies is we actually, last year with COVID, our budgets weren't that bad. We kind of assumed they were going to take a big hit due to some of the relief money that came in, and people still, and stimulating the economy, people still spent money, and through sales tax and property tax, we were able to actually have more taxes, been able to obtain or receive more taxes in Montgomery than we did the year before, which has allowed us to spend more money on our education. I think that the way we do find that tax money is what we were just talking about, is through economic growth. And we're putting together a plan, which I'm excited about. There's going to be which Governor Ivey's very supportive of, is Innovate Alabama. And it's going to be, how do we see what we do well in this state and we improve on it? How do we see what people we have throughout this entire state and what do we do well? And let's work towards that. And let's figure out the needs of a global economy and where can Alabama fit better into that global economy, as opposed to us just kind of tossing about in the wind and trying to just figure out something. This is going to create a strategic plan for the state on how we innovate and we grow. Ben
Robbins, District 33 State Representative, our guest this morning, and Ben will be back in Montgomery tomorrow, and we look forward to him spending more time with us once the legislative session ends, and who knows, Ben might be a guest host on this show one day. You never know. Ben, thanks for dropping by
thank you so
this morning.
much. Thank you.
We got more Daybreak coming up right after you watch this.